Exactly. I think, how many hours do people do, like, per week, you think?
Yeah, well, I think I've got the numbers here. But yeah, sorry, I've just seen the thing about different languages, so I'll get back to you. But Fida's question, I think 37% of the schools have got Arabic taught in them, and 36% have got Urdu, 11% have got Bengali, 7% have got Farsi, etc.
Okay.
So that's quite significant, I think. That's the highest number, really, which means it translates into Arabic-speaking schools. Yes, how many hours? I've got that information.
Well, it was roughly
I
a couple
think,
of hours on a Saturday or
10?
an hour a day after the school, wasn't it?
yes, I think the majority had.
It's about 6 or 10 hours.
6 or 7 hours a week.
Yes, 6 or 7 hours.
That's my point. If in my hypothetical 70% Muslims, if you put this 1 hour, right, and then within the mainstream school, then there'll be no need for a supplementary school in that community, right?
Yeah.
So you amalgamated the two together, right?
Yeah.
So there's no need to. That's my idea. But my other question, if I may, is it really about Islam or is it about identity? I really don't think the whole thing is about Islam, right? And it's all about preserving your identity. It's all about protecting your sense of being, right? So all the myth that this is Islamic and whatever, right? It is about our community. It's about having an asset. It's having a safe place for our children and whatever. And if we think about it in that way, right? Even interpreting what is Islamic, because there is huge variation between whatever. If we do that, then we'll start thinking about these madrasas, even because you mentioned the word madrasa, because the division between those who call it madrasa and that call it separatist, it reflects something deeper, right? Because many South Asian will call it, insist on calling it madrasa, because for them that is the
sense of identity.
Whereas, for example, Sudanese will call it supplementary school because they are more at ease. So these are actually an identity preserving sort of institutions for me. And the variation in the community is quite important. Those who came from communities with secular background, for example, Iranians, Mujahidi, Khalqi Iranians, sort of people who want to, will have a different approach to those who came from Taliban, like Afghani, whatever. And you will find this will prove to you it's not about just religion per se, or it is different Islam, completely different kind of Islam. So it is a myth to call them Islam. Perhaps there is an element of Quran, the approach to gender, the approach to punishment, the approach to different things will be different. So. And I can see the difficulty in conducting the whole research because it is not one kind of thing. It's huge variety, and that stems from this. So I talked too much.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's totally spot on because I think if we look at specific communities, I think, and the way, there are two things. The first one, if it was only about Islam, then you will have multiple ethnic groups within the same institutions, and you never have that. You rarely have that. So you have the Moroccan, the Sudanese, the Bangladeshi, the Pakistani, and then rarely mix. So it's about kind of, passing on that package of culture to the young generation. And I think the other thing is again, I will refer to the Moroccan community because I'm Moroccan and I've done research on that. So the fact that you have I think you can't exclude the whole identity from the kind of the politics of the country of origin. Because what Morocco has done is that for 60 years, they've sent imams to teach Arabic and Moroccan culture across Europe. Those are funded by the Moroccan government. And so for 60 years or so, in different countries across Europe, depending on the size of the Moroccan community, they will send a number of teachers, and they will, make sure that they're paid and they fulfill their mission. And this is not just about passing on the culture; it's also about a degree of control of the Moroccan community living abroad and the younger generation. Countries like Morocco depend on remittances. They depend on them, so they can't let go of a younger generation that's completely disconnected from Morocco.
Is it working?
To a degree, I think. It is working. They're trying to adjust their policies. But I think to a degree, it's not, of course, it's not the same thing as the first generation, the brainwashing of the first generation. But still, I think there are a number of initiatives, whether they kind of colonies de vacances or whatever you call them, so traveling to Morocco through the school and but it's kind of part of the politics towards the diaspora. So I wouldn't say it's all Islamic. It's it's a mixture of things, but yeah.
One other point that is, I think, also could give more weight to the importance of this kind of schools. In fact, they're not only for children. I have a very good experience, knowledge about some Sudanese, for instance, supplementary schools. And these places are, yes, it's true that it's a school, children come and learn, it's also a point for people to meet, specifically women. And their way of integration, this is how they learn about things, this is how they develop a sense of what's going on, and I didn't know that, and how come, and they know that there are different schools, and these schools work in a different way, and it's a kind of an access to the, because many are quite excluded within their own communities. I mean, the only thing they do is just take to the school and come back. But the Saturday one is different, because most of them stay in the school, within the school premises, while the kids are taken into small classes. And these are the moments where they actually sit for 3 or 4 hours, just waiting for the kids, preparing on lunch break, and for the, and they bring food, and they share tea and coffee. And many of the initiatives within the community actually come within these schools. Yeah. The others. I just want to mention the issue now, which is quite, everybody's talking about it, is the issue of the prevalence of FGM, for instance. Yes. This is one of the things that a friend of mine is, just trying to reach people through these schools. Okay. So they are actually a factor that can be quite useful in terms of, health promotion,
No, absolutely, you can agree more. I think, there are lots of, there's a lot of value of these kind of institutions remaining as a meeting point, as a kind of point of intersection between, parents and, different parents and the community, etc. I think the other really interesting point that I didn't mention here, that we came across in this research, is how parents, through these supplementary schools, regain a degree of control over their children. Why? Because I think, when you have families where the mother, for instance, doesn't speak a lot of English, or doesn't know, is not able to engage fully with what her kid is studying, etc. When it comes to supplementary schools, she has some kind of ideas, and she's able to, you know, kind of go to the parents, you know, parents' evening or whatever, and you know, so it's kind of another way of re-exerting control over their children, when in the mainstream school they might not have the same degree of. So it's kind of more accessible. It's more familiar. You know, it's about our culture. It's about our language. It's about, you know, so the kid cannot, you know, kind of pretend that.
Very important.
Yeah, which is really another kind of important thing for these supplementary schools. I mean, there is every kind of reason for these sort of supplementary schools to remain an open space, you know, for different actors, really, and so. I don't know if you want to add anything based on your experience since you've been involved in this.
Yeah. Well, I think, it seems to me they can add value if they help. Some of them seem to provide kind of catch-up or additional input on mainstream school subjects, you know, helping people with their English and their maths, and you know, that's important. In general, I think that they can play a valuable role, and might well be a useful meeting place for parents and so on. And I think the stuff about radicalisation in these settings is probably exaggerated and ill-informed, really. I mean, I can believe that on occasions there are problems along those lines, but I haven't seen any evidence produced by any commentator or politician or anyone else for that matter that suggests that madrasas, as opposed to schools full of older kids, are a problem in that sense. And I think the stuff we saw on TV about use of corporal punishment was bad, and that's
sexual abuse.
Yeah, because I can't imagine the Muslim community is any different from other communities that have their fair share of abusers and so on, sadly. But I don't think that that's the responsibility of the institutions themselves necessarily. That's some kind of bad eggs who operate within them. So I think they're probably a worthwhile kind of addition to the constellation of educational institutions. I think it would be difficult to see government and the states pour a lot of money into them, because it would inevitably mean money that then wouldn't go to mainstream education. But if parents and kids and communities are able to set them up and fund them, good on them, I'd say.
I mean, unfortunately, I have to say that the government, when they look at Muslim supplementary schools or madrasas, they look at them from a kind of radicalisation perspective, because I think our experience is that when we went to the Ministry of Education to talk about these schools, it wasn't performance or anything, it was from that perspective that they were looking at the issue.
That's because no one in this government and almost no one in the civil service comes from that background, so it's all alien to them. They're scared of it because they're white, latent Christian people who fear the unknown. If you had a more reflective government that looked more like a population, and a civil service that had, for instance, more Muslims in it, who themselves went to madrasa, or whose friends did, or who know people who did, it would have less of that suspicion, unknown kind of fear to it. But we don't have a government that reflects population at all, and people fear that which they don't understand, that to which they've not been exposed.
It's funny, that most of radical people come from. Many of them are converted, right? And who were like isolated with some imams or somebody who would like this. I think
it's that vacuum that kind of.
Exactly, yeah. But if you have an institution where you can come to and discuss and hear your views, like madrasas or any other organizations which are subject to scrutiny, and then it will be quite difficult to. I think what I'd be really interested in terms of future research is to see whether madrasas has or supplementary school has impact on the academic on the achievement, achievement compared to those who don't attend for it. And I'm just thinking whether it is possible to focus on one community, say the Moroccan community or Sudanese community, and to follow for 3 or 4 years, right?
Fantastic.
Yeah. To see how does that affect, because you need time, you need focus, like within a community to exclude other factors like different ethnic and what I think between in the one very long term, if I won the lottery or something, they got someone trying to think about, or at least do something about comparison between two communities, Sudanese and Sudanese community and Moroccan community for about 3 years. Even in our spare time, perhaps we can do it. Just feel that I have lots of time.
No, I think Azim would be the best.
That would be interesting.
Start it.
That would be interesting project.
Absolutely. I think sort of any sort of longitudinal type of study would be valuable.
But when you did your PhD, it was about social capital. Did it cover part of it, the issues of supplementary schools or not?
Slightly, but it's not kind of, it wasn't done in a scientific way. So for instance, I think it was from, from the children's perspective, they felt there was a positive impact, because they were able to kind of go to school, learn a bit about Quran and Islam, etc., but also get some support with their homework and things like that. And the teachers also told me that a lot of the children who started attending improved their grades. But then I couldn't, it wasn't done in the scientific, so it's more qualitative than, But there was evidence that there was a kind of positive correlation. But, you have to look at the scale and kind of do it in a more systematic manner. We'd love to do that piece of research. Let's get the funding for it.
Let's give it on our agenda.
Absolutely. Okay.
Any more questions? Any more comments? Okay.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And as I said, it will be on our Facebook. And
If you want to put links to the report.
yes.
Yeah.
But I'll send you the
Sure. Okay.
today.